Right, so I'm going to show you how I paint the engine shed. So to begin with, we're going to start with some grey paint. It could be any kind of grey, just to find a suitable colour grey. So I'm just testing how it sprays first, and then I'm going to apply my first layer to the buildings. So the parts of the model which need spraying grey are the etched ones, the ones with all the etched vertical lines. These are going to be formed and clad into the model. So I'm going to start with my first layer of grey. And don't forget the thin strip, this will be part of the roof. You only need to spray one side, but don't forget to spray that. Okay, so come to the roof section now. So you can see I'm following the vertical lines just in case I get any streaking when the paint dries. So this is how I follow the lines. That way, if anything looks like weathering or dirt or grime that's gathered on the roof when it dries. So I'll do a few coats, 4 or 5 coats of the light grey. As you can see, I've built it up here on that piece. It does dry a hell of a lot lighter, but I want to ensure it's got full coverage and there's no white parts showing through basically. So I'll come back to the roof again. And this time I'm purposely adding weathering as such with the grey paint. So all the areas where dirt and grime would build up, once it dries it will hardly be noticeable, but it is there. And this is my first stage of weathering, so okay, so that's, I'll leave them to a side now to dry. So the colour I use for painting the bricks is red ochre. It's just simple acrylic paint, it's what I use, it works well. So I apply that straight to the airbrush and I will thin it down with some dirty water basically, so all the paint brushes and what's been washed off and all that dirt and grime from various other paints, that's the water I use to dirt it down. It just brings the colour of the red ochre down ever so slightly. So get that to basically a double cream consistency, just so it's dripping off the end of your brush if you lift it out of the pot. Okay, so I'll spray a little test here. Yeah, that's good. So yeah, so once it's spraying, we're going to go over the brickwork. Don't have to worry too much about the white areas of the card here because they're going to be covered by that grey cladding we've just done before. So just ensure that all the brickwork detailing is sprayed, and ensure that you get those side edges as well because they will be visible. And on this part, the grates we've got at the top, try and keep away from that. Or again, if you wanted to, you could darken them down with a bit of grey paint or a bit of black, make it look oily. But we're just making sure that we've got a good coverage again over that brickwork. The detail. Don't do it too thick, you can better build it up just in light coverings. I think I did two coats for this. I went on quite thick, so 2 coats for the red amber, red ochre, sorry. So again, all the pieces, all the brickwork needs this covering. There's no real skill to it, to be fair, it's just putting paint down. Again, this could be done with dry brushing. I wouldn't paint it on directly because you'll lose a lot of the etched detailing we've got in the brickwork, but if you wanted to paint it, if you've not got an airbrush, you could very well, and I've done it myself plenty of times in the past, just because I didn't want to get the airbrush out, that you can just put on a thin coat of paint, basically like a dry brush, and just build up bit by bit. Right, so these are the doors now. I'm going to use a deep yellow to begin with. And I'm going to cover the whole door. I'm not going to try and paint a yellow stripe, I'm just going to cover the whole side of each door in the yellow. And as you can see with the etched lines there, I'm just painting this on. The detail work still comes through, just be sure not to apply it too thick. Okay, so there's all the doors painted up in yellow now, so the next step is to paint in the black stripes, so nothing fancy, no need to show you what black paint looks like, it's black paint. So I'm just going to paint up to those edges. You can see the way I've got the doors laid out there, the two halves to the door, the pattern matches, just to ensure that you're painting the correct parts black on both sides. So brilliant, that's all we need to paint for the model really to begin with. So we'll go on to the next step. Right guys, so you see me how I painted up the engine shed using the airbrush and some simple colours, so it was just a simple nice shade of grey, nothing special, nothing fancy. And for the brickwork I always tend to lean towards red ochre or burnt umber for the brick colours, and that's basically it, it's that easy. So we're going to get into the build now. I've got to grab all those parts we painted up before and I'll zoom in and we'll get to it. Okay, so we've got all our painted parts laid out now. So to begin with, we want to glue the cladding to the shed over the brickwork. So for this process I'm going to use PVA glue. So I'm just going to paint or colour the back of the grey part, the grey cladding bit, with PVA glue. Not forgetting these legs which come down. And I'm just going to apply some thin layer of glue right up to them edges. Okay, so you can see that. So I've glued the back of the cladding card. I've lined all these edges up so it's nice and flush. I'm just going to hold that in place until that glue sets. I'll do the same again for the back side to the model. So again, I'm going to flip this grey part over and apply some glue right up to them edges, including those legs coming down. Flip that back over and line all these edges up. Okay, just press that into place. Okay, so before we glue these ones onto the sides to the model, the sides of the engine shed, these notches which are cut out are now going to be glued into place on the notches on either end of the shed. So we've got one there, and that notch will fit in there. So for this stage for me, for quickness, I'm going to use super glue. Okay, so at this stage you've got a choice which side the doors and the windows are on, so if you want your door facing towards you on your layout, you can swap this side for that side, and vice versa. It doesn't really matter, they're the exact same part. Okay, so I'll just do the opposite side now. Okay, and if you're using super glue, what I do once it's started to grab, I will then run a nice tight bead right into the edge, and that will soak into the card and really strengthen up those corners. Okay, so while that's drying, we're going to get one of the side pieces ready. So I'm just going to glue the same way we did before, the PVA, including these legs coming down, and apply glue right up to them edges. Okay, so we're going to take the side we've just done. So you'll notice this is the one without the squares cut out for them vents you can see on the front of the model there. So this needs to go on this side, and this will hide those joints we've just glued. So ensure everything lines up nice and flush, the top and these edges. Just all them legs down. And once I'm happy, it's time to flip it over and just apply some weight onto the back. So when you're doing it yourselves, obviously I'm doing it for quickness for the video, you can place some weights and let this really set completely before you move on to the next stage. Okay, I'm going to cheat a little bit for the video. I'm just going to apply some super glue to these legs so we can get them to stick. I can move on to the next bit. Okay, so We'll get the other part ready now, the same again on the back. Right up to them edges, we'll apply some glue. Now bring back our model. We're going to align everything up. Get this top nice and flush, the bottom nice and flush, and these sides nice and flush. Okay, so that's right. Just going to flip it over again. Okay, so that side's now firmly attached. I have actually went away and left this time to dry for the next stage, so we're going to come back now and we're going to tackle the roof section. So it is just about attached. If you just bend it like that, and basically it might come apart, but what we want to do is line it up on these edges here and here. And we want to make the middle, the point, meet on either side. So I'm going to apply some glue all down these edges, going back to super glue this time. I'm just going to start with one half. The reason these were attached, it was so that when you are putting the roof on, is that the panels match, because obviously if you glue them that way, the panels aren't going to match either side. So that was the only reason they were attached. So I'm going to apply some glue down these edges and take one roof panel. So I'm going to apply some glue down here as well. Okay, do the same again for the other side. Again, now we want to make sure that the detail matches on both sides. Okay, so that's semi-secure. Now I'm just going to flip it over, glue on the inside of the apex. And to secure the middle part to the side of the building, I'm just going to squeeze them together so they meet. I'm just going to glue the inside edge. Just let that dry. So I'm just squeezing them together. It meets nicely there. Okay, and then I'm just going to do the full length now of that roof. Inside, and just where they are, I'm just going to squeeze and hold them to attach it. Okay, spin it around and do the same again for this side. So I'll start in the middle. I will squeeze that so it stays attached in the centre first. Okay, and then we'll do the same again right the way along. Okay, for the centre, where the top of the ridge meet, just going to squeeze them together and they'll form a tight seal in the centre there. So again with some glue, just along that centre line. Okay. So the last remaining part we want to place on is the top of the roof. This will hide the joint between the two halves. So that's going to go there. So I'm going to do a bit of a mixture of both this time. So I'm going to use some PVA on that edge. So I've glued down one half of the unpainted side to this. I'm just going to put a few drops of super glue to hold it while that PVA glue dries. Okay, so that super glue's on now. The PVA glue will set over time. So that's solid. So the next thing we want to add is our painted doors we painted earlier. So again we want the patterns to match. And we want to glue them the same way. So to do this, I'm just going to run some glue down this edge, and basically on the inside we're going to hold it up like that so it's straight. Again, you can have these doors in whatever position you want. You can have them closed, both of them open, one closed. So completely your choice. This time I think I'll do a mixture of both, so I'll do one open, one closed. So I'll just run some glue down that edge there, and then I'm just going to hold this up against that wall of the inside of the door. Okay, and again just making sure that pattern matches. I'll run some glue down the edge again. Okay, so the doors now attach both sides. So for this one, I'm going to glue this on so it's closed. Okay, so that first one's on. So I'm going to position that other one in. So there we are. So you'll notice with it being carved and laser etched, when handling it, you'll get a few of the bricks fall off on the corners. So the paint you've used, just go back over it and touch up these little brick pieces what have fallen off. If anything, it adds more detail, and I have got a tendency to go round door edges and just give them a scrape myself, because it looks like you've had some bricks with some wear and tear on them when you go back, and either paint them with a darker colour or whatever, colour match it with the paint you've used. So it's not a big problem. In fact, it adds to the look of the model. So the next thing to do is your window frames, doors, etc., and the glass for the windows. So I'm going to begin with the window frames. So I haven't coloured mine. I'm just going to go for the plain white card, but by all means these can be painted in any chosen colour you want. Just paint them before you attach them, obviously. So I've got 4 window frames cut out there. So the way I glue these on is I just load up my brush with a blob of PVA and just lightly touch the edges of the window, and that'll just leave a tiny amount left on that, and we can just simply then drop into position our window frames. So repeat the process. Okay, and we'll do the door frame next. We'll just cut that out to the so the same way, apply some dabs of glue on the side of that door frame and just drop it into position. Okay, so next thing to do is to attach the door. So again, I've cut that out of the cardstock. As you all know with fitting windows and that from previous models, I just run some glue down inside the edges, offer that up down the back, line then that door up in that opening. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is the actual window frames which hold the glass. So for the long one with 4 windows, we've got one complete set, so that's going to be that one, and we've got our clear plastic for that glass there. So just going to cut that to size roughly. Okay. And just small amounts of PVA glue again. This will hold on that glass for us. Don't go too mad with your glue here. You don't want the glue to spread out onto that plastic because you'll forever see it. Okay, so that clear plastic's on now. Got the glass in the window there. So I'm going to just flip this model over so I can see myself and you. Just going to apply some glue around these window frames on the inside, in between. Then I'm going to drop into position our windows. Like so. Okay, so the window frames are in there now. You see the reflection of the glass there. So we want to add a little section for the door window, but we'll start with the other windows first and we'll come back to that door. So we've got the other two to do. So again, we'll start on the outside and put them frames on first. Just nip them out. Okay. So the frames are on. Just going to cut out the windows again. These are in twos. Okay, I'll take some plastic. Okay, and flip the model over again. Apply some glue to the inside edges. Just position these windows in the right place. I'm not forgetting that little window for the door. Just cut that out of the plastic. I'll go back. And there we are. Give it a closer look. Okay, so that completes the N-gauge double modern era engine shed. As you can see through the process, it's not too hard to build, but with the extra detail work of the laser that you can get with the etched lines for the brickwork, it just brings that extra realism to the model itself. And these look absolutely fantastic once weathered up and you've got your trains running through to them. One question I did get asked when I initially did my press release for the model was could these be joined together? So for one instance, one fella wanted one three times the length basically, so by all means these could be,
the only modification you'd do is not put on this grey bit at the back, and simply on the inside edge just cut away at that back wall, the matching shape to the back of the building. And let's do the same again for the front or the back, wherever you want to run through, and just simply push them together and glue them together. It's that easy. So yeah, these can be joined multiple units if you wanted to, or side by side, completely your choice, but it's a great little kit to start with, and again, like I said, it does really look effective. So these are now available to order on the website. Again, as always, it's n-scenic.co.uk. check that website out. There's plenty more models we do and offer, again with overseas post available, with selling around the world as we are, to be honest, and it's fantastic. So if you could give this video a like, subscribe, and I will see you again next time. My name's Tom, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.